Petworking is presented by Maya Strategy Group, a leading market research and strategy consulting firm, helping clients in the pet care and animal health industries navigate strategic challenges for almost 2 decades.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Petworking. I'm Peter Kenseth, Vice President and Partner at Maya Strategy Group, and I am here today with frequent guest and fellow animal lover and crusader, Nicole Patrick, CEO of Rescue Spot. We're here with a pretty exciting episode today. I'm sure some of you have seen on LinkedIn in the last couple weeks, Petworking has launched in bold new initiative that I've had in my head for a while, and really happy to have Nicole on because she was a big inspiration for this in our conversations over the years. But we've launched the Petworking Angel Fund, which is designed to help prevent economic euthanasia. And we'll get into what economic euthanasia is, why it's such a critical issue. But the long and the short of it is this fund's going to provide relief for families that might be facing a tough decision about whether to pay a high vet bill or forgo care and have to euthanize a member of their family. So, in partnership with the Rescue Spot Foundation, which I will let Nicole tell you about, it's Rescue Spot's 501c3 arm, and through their generosity, we're going to be able to accept all donations to the Petworking Angel Fund on a tax-free basis so that we maximize the value of your donation. We're really excited to kick this off. We've got a kickoff event coming up in September, just a few months away, less than 2 months away now, actually. And it is the Petworking Angel Fund Open. So we're going to go out and have a day of fun on the golf course at Vermont National Country Club, the only Jack Nicklaus designed golf course in Vermont. And we're going to take all the proceeds from that day, and that is going to serve as the basis for launching the Angel Fund, and we're going to see where it grows from there. But really excited about kicking this off, really excited about the lives that we can potentially save and about the difference that we're going to make in the industry. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Nicole and let her tell you a little bit about the Rescue Spot Foundation and how the Petworking Angel Fund aligns with its overall mission.
Great. Well, I'm so happy to be here, and we are so excited to be working with you on this incredible cause and also putting together this really fun event that I think is going to be an amazing way to experience Vermont in the fall, experience a beautiful golf course, and most importantly, help save some pets and help save some animals' lives. So for those of you who don't know, I am Nicole Patrick. I'm the founder of Rescue Spot, and Rescue Spot is a pet adoption platform that simplifies, streamlines, and standardizes the pet adoption process for both pet adopters and rescue organizations while connecting the two. Adopters are able to apply for pets using a one-time universal application. They can foster pets, and it's just a really great resource for pet adopters and rescue organizations. We're super excited because we are going to be launching our big new software update around the same time as this event. So it'll be really cool to show that to people in real time. But more importantly, I'm excited to tell you guys about the Rescue Spot Foundation, which, as Peter mentioned, is our new nonprofit arm of Rescue Spot. The Rescue Spot Foundation's mission is to provide vital life-saving care and support to not only the rescues that we work with, but also one-on-one animal cases that we come across with all of the different rescues and shelters that we work with. We work with, thousands of rescues. So we have lots of people coming to us asking for help, and now we'll actually have a way to give them that financial support that they need. So we're really excited to be launching that. We're super excited to be helping with the Petworking Fund, and I think it's going to be great.
Yeah, I'm super excited. We've done a couple episodes talking about Rescue Spot, but I will throw the plug out just to say, for anyone who is in the market for adopting a pet, you can simplify your life by going to Rescue Spot and having to fill out one application rather than searching across the web and filling out multiple applications at lots of different shelters. You can view, you can search on Rescue Spot and you can search for particular types of dogs or cats, search on a nationwide basis, see if they can be transported to where you are, if the dog or cat you want isn't nearby. But really great platform, really great technology. And, I think particularly, when we see the big new software update, I think you mentioned you're kind of completely revamping the back end and moving it to the cloud and putting it on all new rails.
Yes, it'll be a lot faster. If anyone has been on Rescue Spot recently, we had big integration. So we now have about 400,000 pets on there. But with that, it's making the site very slow. So luckily, we were able to fundraise when we started this new integration and just decided to totally redo the platform. It'll be, super fast, super easy, lots of new just updates on the features and whatnot. So we're very excited to have that coming out.
I think it'll be great. And as I've said from the beginning, this was something that was needed. We needed that common app or credit bureau for pet adoptions, to remove the hassle of people just getting discouraged from adopting pets because the application process is too cumbersome. Ultimately, what we want to be doing is putting pets in the right homes and making sure that no pets are homeless. But tying it back into the Angel Fund, one of the things that I think goes overlooked a lot, Nicole, is that once we place pets in homes, people sometimes struggle, financially to keep their families together. And 500,000 pets fall victim to economic euthanasia every year. And certainly that is no fault of the pets. And frequently it's not the fault of the families either. And that's why we're starting the Angel Fund to be a resource there for when people fall on hard times or potentially didn't get pet insurance early enough in their pet's life for it to make a difference. Certainly pet insurance is a great tool that I would encourage every pet owner to have in their toolkit. But, the sad reality of it is we only have 4% adoption of pet insurance in this country. And for it to be most effective, you really need to get it when you get your pet and before they have a veterinary record, because and justifiably so, they do exclude all pre-existing conditions. Pet insurance is underwritten as P&C insurance. It is underwritten the same way your car or homeowner's insurance would be underwritten, because in the eyes of the law, pets are property. And that's where we get into that disconnect, because we're insuring something as property when we're treating it as family. And so a lot of people don't understand why pet insurance won't cover those pre-existing conditions. I mean, it's the same thing as if you went out and smashed your Corvette and then tried to buy an insurance policy on it after the fact. There's not going to be an auto insurance company out there that's going to take you. And so similarly, you find that with pet insurance. But if you pay attention to the coverage, if you get it early, pet insurance can be a really effective tool that can help you from ever getting into the situation of facing a decision involving economic euthanasia. But as I said, right now we have 4% of pet owners in this country that have pet insurance. So for the other 96%, we are also in a time where veterinary costs are skyrocketing. I think they're growing at 2 or 3 times the rate of inflation. I've seen that personally. When I first got Peony, it was $65 to take her to the vet. It is now $100 just to walk in the door. And I think at most vet clinics across the country, if let's just take a simple, potential digestive issue. You're not sure if your dog swallowed a corn cob or not, right? But you suspect they might have a foreign body in there. If you walk in and they need to do x-rays and blood work, just the x-rays and blood work and the visit will probably set you back close to $1,000. And when we think about people, I think the statistic is 70% of people in this country can't afford a unanticipated $400 expense. That's where you quickly see it doesn't even need to be a huge vet bill for people to, have to start thinking about, okay, what's the more humane thing to do here? And for my money, the answer should never be to put down the animal, but people find themselves in those situations every, 500,000 times a year. So I think that, there's a lot of issues that stem from this. Obviously, vets go to school to save animals, not to have to euthanize animals that they know they could treat. So economic euthanasia is a huge cause and contributing factor to veterinary burnout. It's a huge factor in the statistic that veterinarians have a suicide rate that's 2.7 times higher than the general population. And, I think through this event, we're not just trying to put a Band-Aid on the issue and be a fund there to solve every case of economic euthanasia. But I think, what we're really trying to do here is call attention to the issues that are contributing to this problem that is so central to the industry. And I know, Nicole, you mentioned, this stems to adoptions too. And so that's why, we're also partnering with shelters in addition to veterinary hospitals to distribute these funds, is because pets in shelters need care too, even if they haven't been adopted yet. So I know you were mentioning some recent cases in New York, kind of underscoring this issue of skyrocketing veterinary costs, and it really kind of being a damper and a factor that's causing shelters to cease operations in New York.
Yep, exactly. I mean, not only are we finding that people aren't adopting pets right now, because not that people aren't, but there's a slowdown in people adopting pets because the costs of veterinary care is just so high. But more importantly, we're finding that people are returning their pets to shelters because they're not able to keep up with the veterinary costs that there are. And so, traditionally, there always is economic euthanasia because people are not adopting pet insurance at the rate that they should be. And there are often emergencies that come up with pets. It's just like with kids, there's going to be an emergency. It's going to be expensive. And if you don't have that insurance, you're not going to be able to afford that. But now we're also adding on this layer with the cost of living right now that, as you said, vet care is so expensive that it's sort of doubling and, making it even more making there be even more cases of economic euthanasia because we've got these two factors working against us right now. So it really is taking a toll on the shelter community, on the rescue community. We do really try when somebody adopts a pet, and most shelters and rescues do really try when someone adopts a pet to tell them, right now you've got a blank slate for the most part. Please go and find pet insurance, any pet insurance that works for you. Unfortunately, not everyone prioritizes that. But when you look at the economics of it, paying $50 a month, $40 a month, $70 a month if it's an older pet, that's a lot less than being hit with a $1,500 bill, maybe 3 times in a pet's life.
Yeah. Yeah. And, there are solutions out there. I mean, again, I view the Angel Fund as, hopefully we'll get to the point where this fund grows big enough and we're able to have enough of an impact, that we can operate on a large scale and save tens of thousands of lives. But, right now, what I'm looking at is I want to be able to make a difference at least on a small scale on the local level, but I want to call attention to the issue, nationally and globally. And, when you think about it, there are, there certainly are solutions out there. There's pet insurance. You can crowdfund, and one of the impetuses of creating this was the conversation Daryl at Connection Point, CEO of Connection Point last year, and their Pet Funder platform. is, yeah, you could crowdfund to, help you get through. But the issue I see with it is like, if you've got an emergency and you need to crowdfund, you're putting that money out up front without knowing if you're going to make it back. And I think that's a really hard decision for a lot of people to make, right? Or they may not even have the ability to, put down a credit card for a $5,000 vet bill. And a $5,000 vet bill isn't that uncommon. Like, if you have to do surgery to remove a foreign body, you're easily looking at $4,000 or $5,000. If your pet has cancer, you're looking at probably tens of thousands of dollars. And again, pet insurance is the first line, but there's things like crowdfunding. There's a great, there's CareCredit. They have steep penalty fees if you miss payments, but you can get, a zero interest loan. And as long as you make all your payments, you're good. There's another solution out there in the market called All Pet Card, which actually kind of targets the more middle market, lower credit scores. They have higher approval rates, and they will give a zero interest loan that does not require equal payments. So you could theoretically apply for All Pet Card, go and if you don't make a payment until month 6, or you don't pay it back until the very end at 12 months, as long as you pay it off before your term expires, you're good. So again, I think that there are solutions out there, but again, in those situations where a vet knows that they could treat and save a pet's life, and there might be a financial barrier on the part of the pet parent to going ahead with that treatment, I want this fund to be there so that vets don't have to make that decision and don't have to incur more stress than they already do, because vets didn't go to school to have to euthanize animals that they know they could save. It's such a big contributor to burnout. And I was talking with my vet the other day, and we were in for a follow-up after Peony had her ruptured cyst removed. A very minor surgery. I had one stitch, but we went in for the follow-up, and it was a Monday morning, and she looked at me and she was like, it was a really rough weekend. I had to put down, I was working a saves event, where vets donate their time for people that can't necessarily afford veterinary care. And she said she had to put down 4 dogs that were young dogs, puppies that had parvo, and they just hadn't gotten in to get veterinary treatment. And that's where, we see the balance here, right? We want to encourage responsible pet ownership. If you can't afford to have a pet, and I certainly don't mean to say that pet ownership should be, for the privileged few, but, in the same way, we don't encourage people to have children until they're financially stable and able to support them. We don't want to encourage people to adopt a pet until they have the financial stability to be able to provide for that pet. Because if you're taking a pet out of a shelter and bringing it home with you and putting it in a worse situation than it was in the shelter, what good are you really doing for that pet? In this case, people weren't able to keep up with their standard recommended vaccines. And, compassionately, my vet had to euthanize those 4 dogs. But that could have been entirely prevented if people got in and got the vet care that they needed. So again, we're not viewing this fund as a substitute for pet insurance or as a substitute for responsible pet ownership, but it's there to make sure that, for those gaps in the system, for when people fall on tough times or have an unexpected emergency, or, have an older dog that they didn't get pet insurance for when they're young, they don't have to needlessly say goodbye to a member of their family.
Absolutely. And I would say, for anyone who ever has been in a situation where maybe in the past, when they were younger, they came up upon, a very unexpected vet bill, and maybe they got help from a family member or a friend, or they were lucky enough to be able to afford it, or they had, good enough credit to get CareCredit or use a credit card. If anyone has ever experienced that, this is a great fund to donate to kind of give that same angel hand and helping hand to someone that might not have that ability right now. It really isn't something that we discuss enough when somebody is going to adopt or even buy a pet. When you, like you mentioned, when you have a child, you really think about that and you go through your finances beforehand and you decide, well, are we going to be able to afford this? Are we going to be able to afford their college down the line? And I don't think enough people think about that when they get a pet. They don't think about insurance. If someone nowadays is going to have a child, usually they think, well, what's my insurance going to cover? Make sure that you have insurance, that your office or your company will continue giving you insurance if you have to go on maternity leave, things like that. And we really don't think about that with pets. And I hope that with this, it will also help just raise awareness for people to really have those difficult conversations before getting a pet, and understanding that if you can't afford a pet right now, that doesn't mean that you can't enjoy the love of an animal. There are so many other things out there. There's volunteering, there's fostering. I mean, so many rescues are desperately in need of fosters and, aren't able to find them. So it's a great opportunity to still be around pets by fostering. Almost all shelters and rescues will give you the financial support that you need to foster. So they'll cover any vet bills that come up. They'll cover all of the vaccines. A lot of them nowadays will cover the food for the pet, toys and beds. So there really are other opportunities for you if you're thinking, you know what, maybe right now I'm not ready for a pet. Why don't I save some money each month, put it aside, and in a year from now revisit? But right now I'm going to foster, 3 times a year or maybe even more than that. I think those conversations and those things should be thought about more. And I really hope that this will sort of open the door to those being had.
Yeah, I think it's a difficult balance that you have when you're in the the shelter adoption community, right? Because we all want to empty the shelters. Like, that's the goal. We want to make sure that all pets have homes, but at the same time, we want to make sure that, like I said, we're putting them in better situations than what they're leaving in the shelter. And that's why you have, exactly right. I mean, I can't imagine the stress that inflicts on a pet because often, who knows why they ended up in a shelter to begin with, whether they were, just born astray or abandoned or surrendered. But imagine, being abandoned, surrendered, not having a person as a pet, and then getting adopted and then getting surrendered again. I can, those are really the heartbreaking cases. I mean, any pet being in a shelter, it tugs at your heartstrings. But we do have to kind of have some level of clear-headedness here of, we have applications and an application process for adoption for a reason. We have adoption fees for a reason, because, if you can't pass the application process, if you can't afford the adoption fee, like, what kind of life are you going to be able to give that pet? And, I'm not saying that, everybody needs to be feeding, the most premium pet food and, going to the vet, monthly or anything like that. But at the very least, like, budget for emergency care, budget for going for an annual checkup, seeing the vet once a year, getting your preventive diagnostics, get your blood tests, get your SNAP tests, make sure that your pet is healthy. If you're, again, and it's the same argument I always use when I'm talking about pet insurance. You wouldn't let your kids be uninsured. And in the same way, you wouldn't have a situation where you wouldn't take your kids to the doctor if they were sick. You wouldn't, and if we're going to put pets in that same category and call them our fur babies and have 90% of this country say that their pet is a member of the family, we need to have mechanisms in place to make sure that they can receive the medical treatment that they deserve. Um,
Absolutely. And there are
so
so many resources out there today, as far as just low cost vets, vet clinics, vaccination clinics. So even if you're not, able to take the dog to the vet constantly, there are still those things out there so that you can make sure that your pet is healthy. And if you constantly are making sure that your pet is healthy, that they're up to date on their vaccines, that they're, eating well, that they're just eating well, not the quality of the food, then that is also going to help you down the line with having, a parvo case like you just mentioned, where the puppies had to be euthanized. So
yep. Yeah. And again, that's where I say that this all comes into, I see this as a very central issue in the pet care and animal health space, because I mean, even from a nutrition perspective, if you do right by your pet's nutrition, it's going to be less likely to get sick. It's going to be more likely to live longer. Um, you're going to get more time and more quality years with your pet. But again, like I said, it pains me to think about people having to make the decision to put down their pet because they can't afford care. Because I think that has to be incredibly traumatic for any family, any person to make that decision. I was fortunate enough. My first project consulting in pet care and animal health was in the pet insurance space, and I didn't have a dog at the time, but I remembered saying then, I was like, if and when I do get a dog, and I fully intended on doing it, and I now have Peony, I said, there's no way I'm ever going to not have pet insurance, because I would never want to have to make that decision. And, I know, it can be tough when you're staring down, when you're looking at like, this is going to put a significant dent in my finances, or I just can't afford this, period. It puts you in a really tough spot. And so I think, getting back to the Angel Fund, that's the population we're looking to serve, is keeping those families that are facing that potentially catastrophic, heartbreaking decision, from having to go through with that decision, and keeping vets from having to look at an animal they could save and not be able to save it. So I guess maybe we should turn to the Petworking Angel Fund Open, which we're going to have to kick off this fund. So I know Nicole and I are both incredibly passionate about this topic, and could probably go on the the issue of economic euthanasia all day. But now that you know the problem that we're trying to solve, here's the first step we're going to take to solve it. And we have Vermont National Country Club reserved on September 22nd. It is a Jack Nicklaus design golf course, the only Jack Nicklaus course in the state of Vermont. It is generally membership only, so this is a unique opportunity to be able to play it, unless you're friends with a member and can get invited on. September 22nd, it is right at the start of foliage season in Vermont. It's a beautiful time to come and visit. So we are encouraging people to come up, spend Saturday and Sunday, and then golf on Monday, and contribute some money for a good cause. Nicole, I know you and your boyfriend are planning on being there.
absolutely. Yeah, we can't wait. I mean, Vermont is just so gorgeous in the fall. So I'm not a golfer, but he is, but I'm just excited to see, the leaves and just have that crisp air. So I think anyone who hasn't been to Vermont in the fall, or who just likes nature, and of course, all of our golfers, it's just the perfect opportunity to get out, spend some time outdoor in a beautiful space, and help, a really important cause. We're going to have shelter pets there. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah, no, I think that'll be, I'm very excited about that. We're going to have a station with some adoptable pets out in the parking lot. So when you pull up to the course, you'll be able to be greeted by some friendly faces looking for a home. And if you don't find, if you are in the market looking for a dog and don't, or a cat, I don't know if they're going to bring cats or just dogs, but if you don't see the pet that you're looking for, out in the parking lot at the event, you can pop onto Rescue Spot and search the Rescue Spot platform. Additionally, we're going to have lunch is going to be included with the event. We're going to have a shotgun start. It's a 4-man scramble at 12 o'clock. So it's a scramble format. It's about having fun. You don't need to be the best golfer in the world. Your team gets 4 chances at taking each shot. So the way I look at it is, in a scramble, if everybody can contribute 1 good shot, everybody's going to have a good day. And so we'll go out and play, 18 holes of golf. We tee off shotgun at 12. They'll pull us off the course at 5. So hopefully we can get 18 holes in within 5 hours. But after 5, we'll have a 2-hour dinner buffet with an open bar. We'll do an awards ceremony, let our sponsors speak, and kind of highlight the issue of economic euthanasia and what we're doing to address it. So we've got some great sponsors on board already. We have obviously presenting this in partnership with the Rescue Spot Foundation, Petworking, My Strategy, but we also have commitments from Wellness Pet Company. We have commitments from Rue. We have Pet Organics. Some local Vermont companies. Heritage Ford has contributed. So we're seeing those early sponsorships roll in, and I would encourage people, the earlier you sign up to sponsor, the more time I have to talk about you on Petworking. The more time we have to feature you in our social media posts and other advertisements. So there is some incentive to getting in on the early side to sponsor. But did I miss anything, Nicole? What else have we got going on with the event?
I think that's it. Our hope, we're hoping to have some hotel packages. So we'll get that up online if we're able to finalize that. We can both post that on LinkedIn. I'm sure we can get that onto the actual website for the open as well. So we'll have some great packages. There's some beautiful hotels in the area. So it's just the perfect opportunity to have just a nice fall weekend and help some animals.
Yeah. And really you could stay, there's a lot of different options depending on how close you want to be to Burlington. But the nice thing is Vermont is a small state. So, even if you wanted to stay in Stowe or, Warren, you're only like 40 minutes from the golf course. So you could stay in Stowe for the weekend. You could stay out in Warren by Sugarbush for the weekend. You can stay right in downtown Burlington. We've got some great hotels there. Plenty of opportunity to enjoy the state. I would highly encourage people, if they come for the weekend, make sure you get out to the mountains, because the foliage will be peaking earlier at the higher elevations. Go visit Ben and Jerry's, go see, the Cabot Creamery, Cabot cheeses, sample some maple syrup. Sugaring season's in the spring, but it tastes great in the fall. And yeah, I mean, the hikes, as a native Vermonter, I love playing tour guide in my home state. So if anybody, is interested in coming to the tournament and wants some tips about lodging or things to do, how to spend the weekend before the golf tournament, I would be happy to provide those. One other thing that I don't think we noted is we're going to have some sort of raffle / silent auction, because we have gotten some donations, of golf packages and pet supplies and things like that. So we're going to figure out some way to make sure that those donations go to good use and can raise some money for the cause. Again, I think it's going to be a lot of fun. For me personally, there's few things I enjoy more than spending a day on the golf course, but to be able to spend a day on the golf course and have it, contribute to a cause that I'm pretty passionate about, very passionate about, it double the benefit. You're enjoying yourself, but you're also doing a lot of good for pets, for families, for veterinarians. I think I would hope people can find it in their schedule to come enjoy a weekend in Vermont, play some golf, and help out the pet care and animal health community here.
Absolutely. And if you're not able to come, it's still a great opportunity to donate to the fund. So we're able to really just give that support to the community. Share, please, with whomever you think this might strike a chord with. And most importantly, when you know someone that gets a pet, right away tell them, okay, I want you to go right now and get pet insurance for them. Show them this episode if you need to, because it really starts the day that you adopt, or if you buy your pet, the day that you get your pet.
Yeah. Get it before it has a vet record, and you'll have that financial backstop from a pet insurance perspective. But in the event that you're one of the 96% that doesn't have pet insurance right now, we want to create another backstop for pets, their families, and the vets that have to face this unfortunate tragedy of economic euthanasia. So if we can even save one life through this initiative, I'll consider it a success, but hopefully we'll be able to save a lot more.
Definitely. I think we'll be able to save a lot. We're going to keep going until we do.
That's right. That's right. Well, we are looking forward to the event. We got like 7 weeks till September 22nd. So I'd encourage people sign up. Our registration page is live. I will post the link underneath the episode, but it's on PetFunder, the Angel Fund Open. PetFunder is handling all the payment processing. All the funds get put right into the Rescue Spot Foundation account in the Petworking Angel Fund sub account, and we will be partnering with veterinarians and shelters to distribute those funds. Vets, shelters, if you are interested in accessing the Angel Fund, if you're interested in partnering with us, please reach out. We want to be here for you. Obviously, how much we're able to give depends on how much we are able to collect through this event and subsequent events, but we want to have those partnerships up and make sure that people know that we're there and we're a resource to help prevent needless euthanasia of otherwise treatable animals.
Exactly.
Well, cool. Well, Nicole, I am very much looking forward to this. It's awesome to be partnering with you and the Rescue Spot Foundation on this again, and congratulations on the launch of the Rescue Spot Foundation and your pending relaunch. Of Rescue Spot on the new platform with the new rails. We're looking forward to seeing that, and hopefully we can have maybe a demo booth or something at the event so people can log on and see it, and I think that'll be really cool. But we will keep you all posted on our progress. Hope to see a lot of you on September 22nd, and again, reach out with any questions. We're accepting all kinds of sponsorships, everything from basic support, in-kind donations, all the way up to we're still looking for a platinum sponsor. So if anybody feels really passionate, reach out. But we would love to hear from anyone interested in sponsoring, any vet clinics, shelters that would want to make use of these funds, and any golfers that want to come and enjoy a great tournament for a good cause. So we'll hope to see you all soon.
You guys there.
All right. On behalf of Nicole, this is Peter Kenseth with Petworking. We will see you out on the golf course. Take care.
Petworking is presented by Maya Strategy Group, a leading market research and strategy consulting firm, helping clients in the pet care and animal health industries navigate strategic challenges for almost 2 decades.